closed in the year 2000. Most people, even though it doesn't wobble anymore. The wobble was taken away during its closure, so it took about a year and a half to fix the wobble. I can't believe it took that long. But they did put shock absorbers on the bottom. And hark, can you hear a bell ringing out? There's a great pole. There is a 15-ton bell, I believe, in St. Paul's Cathedral. So let's look at St. Paul's while we're here, shall we? So, over the Millennium Bridge you get a wonderful view of the southern transept of St. Paul's Cathedral. This wonderful domed cathedral, beautiful building. According to the Great Fire of London, standing on this site previous to this cathedral would have been the medieval St. Paul's at 149 metres tall. It would have been actually larger than the London Eye itself. So, that medieval St. Paul's burned down in the Great Fire of London. I'll talk about the Great Fire of London later on our cruise, because over on our right hand side we're passing by the Globe Theatre, a detailed replica of the original Globe. The doors are open at the moment. Its season has yet to start, so I'm wondering what is going on there. Perhaps a special showing of some sort, or maybe even an event. I can't tell you. But anyway, this is when its doors normally open, actually, so I'm wondering whether there is a performance on tonight, but its season officially starts on the 21st of April, so these might be pre-showings. I don't know. Anyway, the building itself is a detailed replica of the original. It's made of wood, mainly thatched roof, wooden beams, wooden pegs, wooden hinges all holding it up and together. Rather magnificent structure, and something I would definitely recommend for you all to do. It's named after the borough of Southwark, over on our right hand side. Southwark Bridge, beautiful building, something I highly recommend, beautiful bridge, something I highly recommend you crossing. Very romantic bridge, this one. So this beautiful bridge contrasts quite heavily to the next bridge on our journey, which is Cannon Street Railway Bridge, which is really ugly, to be honest. It's possibly the ugliest bridge crossing the River Thames, actually. So I generally tend to ignore it and look at the lovely pub on the right-hand side. The Anchor at Bankside. Yes, the Anchor is a very nice pub. Dates back to the late 1400s. No, not this one. This one has been around since 1750. Sandy-coloured buildings is a detailed replica of the original Golden Hind. Now this replica works. It's been around the world twice. It was built in the 1970s in Amador in Devon. So it does work. It hasn't been around the world or sailing for a long time now. It's pretty much a floating, not even floating, because it's a museum in dry dock. It means there's no water around it here. But the original set sailed in 1577. Its captain was Francis Drake. He was the first Englishman to go around the world on that original vessel. Yep, went around the world. Took him 3 years, I believe. Returned in 1580. It took him a long time to go around the world, didn't it? Well, he was a bit busy during his cruise. He was stealing things, basically. He stole £25 million of the treasure and plunder off the Spanish and Portuguese, enough to pay off the entirety of our national debt. Yes, this is London Bridge. Above us is London Bridge. Okay, so let's get this straight. London Bridge now behind us. Tower Bridge ahead of us. Tower Bridge ahead, London Bridge behind. The difference between these two bridges is history. There's been a London Bridge in this area, on this site roughly, since 54 AD. In fact, the first London Bridge would have been here, somewhere in this part of the river, 70 yards or so down from the London Bridge we have now. It was made of wood, the original London Bridge, and there would have been many wooden bridges that followed it through the Anglo-Saxon and Viking periods, perhaps even a period without a bridge here. Ebbs Tower Bridge. Yes, named after the Tower of London over on its left. We're going to get to the Tower of London in a minute. Okay. So, let's talk about the old Port of London. Why? Because we're in it. Was once the biggest and busiest working port in the world. Look around you. Look to our right, Hayes Galleria nowadays, but warehouses before here, these sandy-coloured buildings. Over on our left, this is Customs House, where all the captains have to come and pay their customs on their cargoes that they brought into the port. So lots of things going on in this big, busy working port. Something I'm going to be talking about again later, because right now we're passing by HMS Belfast, what was the largest lightweight cruiser in Her Majesty's fleet during the Second World War. She saw active service in the Russian convoys, the D-Day landings, and the Korean War. Now, she was going to be taken for scrap, but she was saved by the Imperial War Museum and put here as a permanent floating museum in her own right. What you ought to visit, of course, closed for the evening now. This vessel, by the way, built in the same dockyards, the Harland and Wolff dockyards in Belfast, where the White Star Line cruisers were built. The Oceanic, the Majestic, the Olympic, and the Titanic, built in that same dockyard. Anyway, over on the right-hand side, the glass-domed building, City Hall. So the Greater London Council, disbanded in 1986, the Greater London Assembly, founded in the year 2000 to sort of replace them in a way. In 2002, this building was finished as their headquarters and has been known as many different things ever since, such as the London Armadillo, the London Beehive, Darth Vader's helmet, all kinds of things. On the left-hand side, the Tower of London, over 900 years old, founded in fact by William the Conqueror back in 1066. Now, he built a wooden tower here, a wooden hill fort, which he finished in 1072. And then he decided he wanted a proper palace here, so he began the construction of what you can see, this central stone tower, and never got to see it finished. He died in 1086. It was finally finished by his son in 1100. Known as the inner and outer curtain walls. Thank you. Big love to you as well. Hello, on the bridge. Yes. That's very friendly people we have on the bridge. Now, who waved? Did you wave? Yeah? Well, those of you who waved, you get 5 years good luck. So there's a good reason to be friendly. It's an old tradition, basically. When sailors and fishermen would have come underneath this bridge, they would have waved goodbye to their loved ones and members of the public as they went out to sea. And they would have needed lots of good luck, of course, on their long journey. We're not going out to sea, it's about 43 miles away or something ridiculous like that. So we'll leave it for the time being, shall we? So around us now, I mentioned about the old Port of London. Well, this is it. Look at us. Look at this. Butler's Wharf, the Spice Wharves, Butler's Wharf extension down here. Lots of other warehouse buildings all around us now. There would have been loads of goods coming in here. Wine, spices, teas, coffees, indigo, rubber, ivory, all kinds of expensive things. Maybe working port of the world up until 1930. When, of course, the Second World War happened, didn't do any favours, but during the 60s it did see a resurgence, only to see the major closures happening at the very end of the 1960s. Around 1969, the first of the major closures began to happen, and from then it was like a domino effect. This was mainly due to the introduction of large freighters that were introduced to our transport system, air freighting also. Bad road links here in the port made things a bit difficult as well. So the port closed down in the late 60s mainly. By 1981 pretty much the whole of the port except the Tilbury had closed. But we turn around with a lovely view of Tower Bridge to our left. What a wonderful view with the colours dappled throughout the sky. And the two towers. So the two towers are made of metal. Right? This is the rest of the bridge. So bastion in the middle, you can see there, an opening part of the bridge that opened to allow the tall ships to come through. They're 1,500 tons heavy each, and they would have opened about changing face of London all around it. Over on your left-hand side, the Shard, the tallest tower in Western Europe, 309.6 meters. On the right, the town of London, like I said, but now right was a palace, fortress, turned into a prison, that's what most people know it as. Look above the archway on the side there, you'll notice someone writing above the brick archway. It says entry to the traitors above that brick archway. It's where traitors were taken through to be imprisoned for life, or to well, good day. So the Tower of London uses a palace, fortress, prison, it used to be the Royal Mint.